fake stuff and said a lot of stuff that, a person that you claim that you cool with, you would never say. So that was my big issue with him. I just know, character take you a long way, and I just don't agree with the character, actions that he took.
The problem is Terence Crawford now is really only going to want to fight for big money, and there's only certain fights that can generate that kind of money.
Terence Crawford explodes at Floyd Mayweather after the sparring footage leaks, saying he doesn't appreciate certain actions. Floyd has taken Crawford, makes it clear that he expected more respect from someone who claims to be cool with him. He expresses his disappointment and frustration at how private moments in training were made public, and stresses that this type of move should not have come from a fellow champion.
I had disliked a lot of things that he was saying, and how he was acting, being that, me, I'm a real individual. I just felt like, we was all cool at one point in time. And, when the Errol Spence fight was getting mentioned and talked about and, signed, I just felt like he just did a lot of fake stuff and said a lot of stuff that, a person that you claim that you cool with, you would never say. So that was my big issue with him. I just know, character take you a long way, and I just don't agree with the character, actions that he took.
Eddie Hearn's comment that Terence should retire reflects the split within the boxing community about what Crawford should do next. On one hand, Hearn admires that Crawford's legacy is untouched. He has conquered multiple divisions, dominated elite fighters, and ended debates about whether he belongs among the all-time greats. Retiring at such a peak would protect his image forever, just as some legendary champions did. Yet Hearn also recognizes the allure of financial security. With boxing now heavily influenced by Saudi investment and cross-promotional spectacles, Crawford could command record-breaking purses even if the fights are not legacy-driven. The temptation of multi-million-dollar events might outweigh the purity of legacy, and Hearn understands this balance better than most promoters.
Sorry?
Should Crawford retire?
Do you know what? Someone said the other day, and it's very true, because I actually said it about Usyk. We've got a real tendency, haven't we, to kind of try and retire people off. Do you know what I mean? Like I said with Usyk, I think now he should retire. And everyone's like, why do you want him to retire? It's like, I just think it's a great way to go out. I actually also think that Crawford could move down and win a world title at 160. And that would make him, what, 6 division champ? 5? 35, 40, 47, 54, 6 division champion. But the problem is Terence Crawford now is really only going to want to fight for big money, and there's only certain fights that can generate that kind of money. So Shakur, who was obviously very close to him, seemed to say so maybe that's it.
Floyd Schofield's perspective is that Terence Crawford should stop while he is ahead. In his view, Crawford has already accomplished everything that defines greatness in boxing. Becoming a pound-for-pound king, winning championships across divisions, and proving himself against the best opposition of his era. Schofield is not questioning Crawford's skill or legacy, but suggesting that continuing further may bring unnecessary risk. He points out that if Crawford does fight again, it should only be against hungry new contenders like Virgil Ortiz or Frank Martin. This highlights a generational shift where younger fighters want to see whether Crawford can still stand the intensity of the new wave. Yet Schofield's message carries respect. He acknowledges that Crawford has nothing left to prove and believes walking away now would leave his record flawless. For him, Crawford's legacy is already secure and best preserved at its peak.
So I feel like Crawford, he could retire if he wants. I feel like if he does get another fight, I would love to see him in there with Virgil or Jerron. I feel like those are both great fights, but those are fights we just got to see. We just got to see those fights before. I feel like those are the only 2 fights I would entertain.
Not a rematch? Maybe a rematch with Crawford and Canelo?
I feel like it wasn't close enough. It wasn't close enough.
Really?
If it was close, maybe, but it just was like, it wasn't close.
This idea continues to stir heated debates among boxing fans, the fantasy of Prime Floyd versus Prime. Crawford dominates online discussions because both represent complete mastery of the sport in their eras. Floyd's defensive genius and unmatched ring IQ made him untouchable, while Crawford's adaptability and finishing instincts have allowed him to dismantle every opponent, but the reality is stark. Mayweather is past his fighting prime and no longer has the reflexes or stamina. He once had a modern-day showdown would be more spectacle than true test, and that is why people stress the different game angle. The dream of their primes clashing is likely to remain just that, a dream.
So yeah, everybody, so this is a good question that the ring put out. So Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather, a fantasy fight that will never happen. Now, this is a really good question. Who will win between these two? Me personally, if this was old Floyd Mayweather, well, I'm going to say pretty boy Floyd, I'm talking about like the younger version of Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather wins. You're talking probably prime Floyd Mayweather versus prime Terence Crawford. You could see Floyd Mayweather beating Terence Crawford, but you're talking about money Floyd versus Terence Crawford. I see Terence Crawford stopping him in the later rounds due to Floyd Mayweather's passive style and Philly shell. I believe he'll melt. Terence Crawford would just break him, I think. People forget what Manny Pacquiao was able to do on Floyd Mayweather, have success with him certain parts of the fight, and people just need to see, Floyd Mayweather's, I would say, fights, later down in the years. I think Crawford would just be able to break that defense. I don't know. The thing is about Terence Crawford, he has a very, very awkward style, very awkward foot movement and footwork. This is the thing. A lot of people were thinking, no, nobody beats Floyd. Or if you try to compare somebody else, no, this man will beat Floyd. Floyd would beat everybody. I don't think it's a case of Terence Crawford, everybody. I think Terence Crawford would have been the man to actually beat Floyd. Honestly, for what he did to Canelo Alvarez, he beat a 168 Canelo Alvarez. 168 Canelo Alvarez.
Analysts have been careful to point out that statistics and accolades, while important, do not always define greatness in a head-to-head sense. Floyd's 50-0 record and his ability to stay undefeated through generations is something few can replicate. Crawford, on the other hand, is undisputed in multiple divisions, a feat Floyd never achieved in his time. The comparison becomes tricky because accomplishments in different eras cannot be directly stacked against each other. Floyd's resume features global names and huge pay-per-view numbers, while Crawford's is built on clean, decisive victories. The analysts argue that being more accomplished on paper is not the same as being the better fighter inside the ring. It depends on context, style, and timing.
Floyd Mayweather versus Terence Crawford is the topic of this video, and someone posted this: number of world champion fighters beaten, Floyd with 23, Terence with only 11. But my response to this is, being more accomplished does not mean you're better than someone. By example, Canelo has 18 former world champions beaten, Terence has 11. So you could argue that Canelo's more accomplished. Meanwhile, Terence just whooped him over the course of 12 rounds over the weekend. We all saw it. Plus, more accomplished fighters lose to lesser accomplished fighters all the time, so that's a bad argument. Let's talk skill for skill. Terence Crawford has knockout power in both hands. He can switch stances. He's not a stationary target. He has good footwork. He knows how to counterpunch. He knows how to fight on the outside and on the inside. He can make it dirty. He knows how to box and he knows how to fight. There's a difference. Guys like Shakur Stevenson, for example, they know how to box. When it comes to actually getting down and dirty, the jury is still out on one Shakur Stevenson, just by example. Terence Crawford, I think, if you look at the names on Floyd's list here, Manny Pacquiao, Canelo, Marcos Maidana, Cotto, and the list goes on and on, I think Terence Crawford has a shot at beating all those guys. I don't think anybody on that list jumps off the page and goes, oh my God, I think he smokes Terence Crawford. You can't say that about anybody on any of these guys' lists and names here. So yeah, that's my take on this, man. Maybe the only guy is Gennady Golovkin. I could see Gennady Golovkin giving Terence a really hard fight, especially at that weight. But remember, Canelo lost to Gennady. Gennady shouldn't even be on this list. He's only on the list because the judges are in Canelo's back pocket. So, you know, that's a whole nother argument. But yeah, that's my take on this, guys. Skill for skill, Terence Crawford might be one of the best of all time, and that's okay. Like, it's okay to accept that, guys. It's fine. Let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you agree or disagree. It doesn't matter. Just join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
Zab Judah's words carry weight because he has felt Mayweather's skill firsthand and understands what it takes to compete at the highest level. His recognition of Crawford as the king of this era underlines how every generation produces. Its standout Judah even reminded fans that Canelo Alvarez once suggested Crawford might be better than Floyd, which sparked endless conversations. For Judah, Crawford's ability to dominate top opposition across divisions proves his completeness. As a fighter unlike many boxers who struggle when moving up in weight, Crawford has carried his power, timing, and composure into every class. Judah's endorsement feels like a symbolic passing of the torch, acknowledging that while Floyd ruled his time, Crawford now wears the crown.
The punch to knock him out, you know what I'm saying? The size will be a factor. None of that was nothing.
How did you score it?
Huh?
How did you score the fight?
I think I gave Canelo about 3 rounds. About
Really?
3 rounds. Yeah, about 3
Yeah.
rounds. How did you score? You just score about, sound about fair?
What's that?
Sounds about right?
I had it closer, but there's loads of different scores.
Okay, 2 rounds.
You gave him 2 rounds.
I had 2 rounds. Yeah, he ain't do anything. I gave him a possible 3 rounds. So if I play space, we gave him 2 impossible.
Where did you put him in the all-time list? 5-weight world champion, 3-weight undisputed, Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford.
He's number 1 right now. He's number 1. This is his generation. This is his timeline. He is the king right now.
Just seen in the press conference, Canelo said that Crawford's better than Mayweather. What did you think?
He's not lying. He fought him. He should know. How can somebody tell somebody that fought both of these guys, he know.
Yeah.
If anybody would know, Canelo would know.
What do you think's next for both?
I don't know.
Too early? You'd like to see a rematch?
Rematches always sound good. But in a rematch, it'll be the same thing.
Yeah. Cool.
Matter of fact, in a rematch, I'm predicting stoppage earlier.
Yeah.
I
think
so too. Yeah, I think so.
Sup?
My boys are dogs.
Sure.
Trust me.
Thank you.
People Ozan push-ups. I was watching Neil City.
That's right.
They Ozan push-ups.
Crawford emphasized that Canelo's perspective is more credible than most fans or analysts because he has personally experienced both styles. However, Crawford also made it clear that the circumstances were vastly different. Floyd fought Canelo when he was young, raw, and still learning, while Crawford faced him as a mature champion at super middleweight. This distinction is crucial because it shows how timing influences outcomes in boxing. For Crawford, beating a seasoned and experienced Canelo carries a different weight than Floyd's schooling of a youthful version. By pointing this out, Crawford subtly defends his own win while respecting the historical context of Mayweather's.
He was in the ring with both of us, so a lot of people, they can say what they want, but he's actually been in the ring with both of us. One where he felt like he was at the best, and another where he felt like he was at a disadvantage when he had a rehydration clause and he was younger. So, I don't know, I don't go off of that. Floyd is the best fighter, in his era, and I feel like I'm the best fighter in my era.
One thing that I thought was really interesting about the fight, I always love watching you switch stances as effortlessly as you do. You didn't do that a lot in this fight. You didn't have to. Were you expecting not to have to?
No, I felt like I could have, but why do something when something else is working?
Easy answer.
Jeff Mayweather's defense of Floyd is rooted in the idea that people often overlook context when comparing careers. By the time Floyd met Canelo, he was no longer in his physical peak. He was relying more on experience, reflexes, and timing rather than sheer speed or explosiveness. Despite this decline, Floyd completely neutralized a dangerous young opponent, which Jeff insists should not be forgotten. To him, comparing Floyd's version of Canelo with Crawford's version is unfair, because they were two completely different points in both men's careers. Jeff's comments highlight how boxing history is often rewritten without fully considering the circumstances of each fight.
Well, also if we remember, Canelo at that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course.
Yeah, nobody had it.
And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he still took him, into deep waters. So
yeah, what was Canelo? What, 20 something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd, and he lost.
Yeah, but
a man that was 30-something years old, 36.
But Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people. But
how you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime? You ain't in your prime when you at 36. That's not your prime.
Did he lose? I mean,
your prime is in your 20s.
It's different for different people.
Yeah, okay. Well, it sure was, and that's why Canelo is saying what he's saying.
Don't you?
Want to make himself look like he did something great.
Buddy McGirt's analysis captured the essence of Crawford's brilliance. He pointed out how Crawford controlled every aspect of the bout, dictating pace, distance, exchanges from start to finish, unlike many of Canelo's past opponents, who fell into his traps. Crawford never allowed him to set the tempo. This level of control reminded McGirt of the way Floyd used to outthink opponents, but he stressed that Crawford added his own twist with aggression and finishing instincts for McGirt. The victory was not just a win. It was a statement that Crawford belongs in any discussion about the greatest technicians the sport has ever seen.
Yes.
Like, what fight were they watching?
Right.
I mean, it's. I don't know, man. I don't know what some of these guys be doing in this game, man. Some people, in situations like that, they should ask them, listen, just turn in your license, bro. Because there's no way in hell the fight was that close.
Right.
I mean, come on, man. It's just, it's not fair. It's not fair. You get a guy like Terence got here and dominate from beginning to end, and then you find out he needed the last 2 rounds to win. That's scary, man.
It is, and you see how you just mentioned scary. Now, a lot of people are saying, buddy, that type of beating, he's not going to want a rematch. But looking at those scorecards and knowing that, hey, you wasn't too far behind, even though, he did mention that, he's better than Mayweather. But, I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you feel like that was such a beating that Canelo wouldn't want a rematch?
No, I think that, in all honesty, personally, I think that Canelo's at that stage in his career right now, that it's a rematch he don't need. He don't need it. You know what I mean? What we saw that night, that's the stage Canelo's at right now. He's fought everybody, he's did everything, but, he passed the torch to the right guy. He passed the torch to the right guy. He lost it to Terence fair and square, and he passed the torch. So if you're gonna have another fight, cool, but you don't need to. You have nothing. He has nothing to prove. He fought Terence and nobody else would.
The analysts explained that Mayweather's charisma and ability to market himself as both hero and villain made him a global phenomenon. His undefeated streak carried immense weight because fans either tuned in to witness his brilliance or to hope for his downfall. Crawford, in contrast, has never been a massive pay-per-view seller, but analysts believe this should not take away from his pure fighting skill. In fact, some argue that Crawford's talent may even surpass Floyd's because of his natural ability to switch stances, control range, and finish opponents decisively. Where Floyd was defensive and cautious, Crawford is calculated yet ruthless, making him equally difficult to beat but more exciting to watch.
Terence Crawford versus Floyd Mayweather Jr. Who wins this fight? I'm going with Terence Crawford, and I don't think that's unpopular or crazy to say. I think most people will agree with me. I understand Floyd Mayweather has a lot of fans out there, but the truth is, as great as Floyd Mayweather is, Terence Crawford is one of one. And I say that because who else has knockout power in both hands, is able to switch stances between orthodox and southpaw so seamlessly while having great footwork? It's not like Terence Crawford is some stationary target or a flat-footed fighter that's going to be chasing Floyd around. Terence Crawford knows how to cut the ring off. He has tremendous ring IQ. And not only is he a great boxer, but he's a great fighter. He'll be able to make it dirty. If he is on the inside with Floyd, that power will carry him far. And I just don't see how Floyd will be able to beat a Terence Crawford. I really don't see it. I understand Floyd's defense is incredible, but he is smaller than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford would have a significant reach advantage on Floyd Mayweather. I believe Terence Crawford would also be taller than Floyd Mayweather, as well as all the skillful and technical aspects of what I just laid out prior. So I don't understand how anybody could pick Floyd Mayweather to beat Terence Crawford. Styles make fights, and I believe Terence has the style to beat one Floyd Mayweather. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Whether you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. Join the discussion, subscribe for more, and leave a like if you enjoyed the time spent. Thank you. You are all appreciated.
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned. Until next.